should be
Well, it's
getting.
being recorded, Christine, and every time I'm out, I'm working on Monday nights. So you see me here, but I'm gonna turn my camera off.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries. As long as you're safe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, and I have to put the display this so that YouTube and Zoom can be able to see everything. Okay, so I'm good on all of this stuff. Now I need to see about will I be able to do free conference call? First tester. It's not a oh, I can't. Okay. It's not like it, is the end of the world for this evening because it's not until the. Of course, I'm sharing everything. I might as well stop that. Hold on.
And I'll be signing in also with my laptop later for the last segment,
Okay.
last portion.
All right. Let me free conference call. Where is that? Here we go. As I do, I'm going through articles from Anna as well and going through coordinator calls, and it's been
Well,
interesting.
going over your last week's replay, I'm almost glad I didn't show up because you was having a lot of good stuff to share. And by the way, you came through the whole. I heard you the whole time.
Oh, good.
So
Awesome.
there was no drop in sound on your end,
Okay,
as far as
so
I can tell.
I'm not sure if this is gonna. Wait, I hope that is mine. Yeah. Let's see. Video. Let's see. Computer audio. Video. Let's see if it creates conflict. Well, it's not showing a picture for the video. Let's see. Maybe it'll let me screen share into free conference call. Okay, free conference call will at least let me screen share, but it won't share the camera with me. Now, I'm not sure though.
How many?
I'm not sure if anybody's going to be on free conference call yet. Let's stop the
You
screen
need more
share.
than one screen, maybe. I don't know if that would mess you up more.
Oh, I wonder if somebody. Nope, it's just me in there. Can probably hear the music playing. All right, I am.
Well, if you turn your camera on, it'll display you. You'll be able to see yourself, and the music will stop.
If I turn the screen share back on.
No, if you turn your camera on for your free conference call.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right. Just won't be able to see me till I do a screen share on free conference call to get that desktop view just like on Zoom. No.
But you know how you're hearing it play free conference call?
Right.
Because you're the only one in there.
Right.
Go down to the bottom where you turn your camera on for it, and then you'll be seen there, and the music will stop playing.
Alright, let's see. Okay. I have start video. Okay. Alright, so then we should be able to go to screen share. So that way it kicks it off the maybe. Oh, nope. It's one or the other. I can do, and it'll stop the sound. Huh. Okay. So, I think we should be able to get this display up as well. So that screen share is up. And okay. So that way we can should be able to start getting recordings to free conference call as well and get practice in on this as we go. Now it should, and maybe I can, let's see. Oh, I have to screen share with Zoom for you to be able to see it too. Let me go ahead and switch over to the website to be able to show where this is at, so that everybody can see it as well. So let's screen share this. Okay, so freeconferencecall.com /wall/at home on Indiana. And it should be. I wonder why it doesn't. It's supposed to play. Okay, so hopefully maybe it's, if I caught it correctly, because it should be airing on the radio side when there's a call going on, so you don't have to get into the call itself on free conference call, from what I gathered from the training or videos, learning, articles that they had. So we'll see how this goes. All right, but I wanted to show everyone that was there, and here's the calendar. You can view all of them for the first quarter in 2024. So here are those in here. Some valuable links, downloads through here, very supportive. Okay, so did you have anything to before we get started, Joe?
Some of the questions that you had that I recall during the last replay, especially with Mattermost, the updates you were looking for actually came through yesterday on the coordinator's call. And as far as Mattermost goes, essentially they're phasing that platform out, searching for a more fluid and Federation approved, thoroughly approved platform. So currently any new assembly folks are not pointed to that platform, but they are encouraged to frequent the data management server, which is a product of Mattermost. It was a working the data management server. If you've been there, you know that's a compendium of works over the, I guess, past year and a half or so of committees and work groups putting their heads together and creating works, materials, paperwork, collaborative efforts, and you can find them there.
Yes, I've been going through the automated emails that I have set up for Indiana that removes Mattermost from the info, and so that I'm also not reminding others about Mattermost. I have gained access to the data management server, but I've got to look around some, but I haven't figured out exactly how I'm working with that yet. So that's the next step. So yeah, and as others have started questioning about Mattermost, I put the information out there to, at least for now, contact the help desk, until I was able to get more info. And I was grateful that you were able to present that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And I'll just
Perfect.
tie in what I have during the, I guess my intro there is when you share the state and county assembly offices.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like my intro there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that's where we're probably going to be for a little bit, working through those. Okay. Anything else?
No. Go ahead, and if you have any, well, I guess I wanted to ask you this, Christine. I know that you mentioned, and it seems to be the norm as far as the average daily contributions for coordinator role. You seem to put in a whole lot more, but you've also confirmed on these calls that it's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, somewhere in there, every day, something like that. Maybe less days, maybe 5 days, 6 days. But you really put a lot of things together. And just as an observation, and it reminisced to me when I was coordinator for Kentucky. So the time crunch is the same, average dedication for that. But I was just observing your layout's way better, in my opinion, in contrast to my work. But it's informative, and those who are appreciative of your work that you put together in a short amount of time. I'm thinking out loud here, but if I was from that perspective, I would say, I could do this for my county, on behalf of my county, inadvertently would be that coordination at the county level, which in your world also is a co-coordinator for you, which would help you. I was just, putting those two.
Which is a perfect tie-in, because that's one of bringing up about honest training, of making sure anyone, and that's in tonight's cause. Two things again there.
Well, I'll just summarize. I mean, an hour and 6 minutes or so, and you was even relaxed. I mean, like I mentioned before, Christine, I've been in the college setting. You remind me of a professor that I can just listen to all day. Because you relax, you go through, you hit laxy daisy as you do, because it seems effortless, or that you appear it to be effortless in your perspective or your delivery. I'm just really impressed with that. But at the same time, those who may be reluctant to be that of a co-coordinator for the state or county coordinator for the county, they can sit back and see, you can attest, this is one or 2 hours every day or every other day of the week, and I can put all this together. Somebody on behalf of Indiana and Kentucky could say, I can do that. But at the same time, they could even stand in for you or work with you, at least work with you. And what a joy that would be, I'm sure. And then again, coming off the fact that the coordinator training is coming up too, so hopefully you'll have a lot of folks that will join you. I want to sign up. I just want to see what the updates are, just to be knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that's where we got to get the list together.
Yeah, and back in the day when I corrected my status, I ran to Benjamin Hernandez. I was blowing his phone up all the time, text, whatever. Saying, how can I help you? How can I help you? I want to help you. So much to the point where he says, Joe, go ahead and you can take this off my hands, because he was moving. He was moving back up north.
Mm-hmm.
To New Jersey. So yeah, I took it. I ran with it. And the only reason why I'm not doing it still to this day is that a higher calling took me in a different direction to assist with the Federation.
Gotta go where you're called.
Yeah, so anyway, folks, you're out there. Christine could use your help. Kentucky could use a coordinator. And between the three of us, Justin, acting coordinator for Kentucky, Marshall at Arms, also. There's 3 coordinators between Christine, myself, and Justin, who can help him.
Right. Absolutely. And it is exciting. It can be very fun. It can be a little bit of a struggle trying to help break through some of the programming and indoctrination. It can be a little bit of a struggle, but it is exciting as well to see those that have come to that knowing that this is where they need to be, at least for now in their journey, and that's been a joy to see. And you get to see it.
Well, one thing you can add also, if you decided, or if the General Assembly would decide to actually have the recordings available, I guess in a private setting, I don't know, a limited setting, depending on how the Indiana Assembly, General Assembly would decide to have that. But they could actually have some or all of the weekly coordinator calls available to some, or especially those who are interested. I can give you an example. The Kentucky Assembly has a private channel for all members who would like to hear, and this is because he's working with, limited coordination as it is. But Justin was already forward thinking and offering that for Kentuckians to listen in on pre-recorded calls. Of course, they can't be on the call.
Right.
They are coordinators or marshals at arms, or continental marshals, but they can definitely hear. And I can tell you, I've always been intrigued by everything that's ever said on those calls. There's a lot of breaking news and things that are happening, and you get to hear from all the other coordinators from all the other states. So it's really great atmosphere,
Right. Oh yeah, it's been a lot of interesting information to hear through the years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you want to approach that, but I'm just so you know, that's what we did, just because of, by and large, is because we didn't have and we still haven't had yet coordination for Kentucky. But you've stepped in and shown how easy it can be, Christine.
Oh, thank you. And really, it's also more about having that motivation from within to be able that you even want to do it, and then whatever it is you need to do will happen.
Yeah, and look at it like this. I know I'm speaking to the recording and everybody else who might be live, but even you might consider, hey, I can do this with one hand tied behind my back and both eyes closed. And you could, maybe consider. I'm just visualizing this, but you could say, I'm ready to step up and be that pro tem speaker for the assembly, or entertain that. But of course, you would wait until somebody within Indiana is like, well, let me look at this coordinator role, and you would carry them forever, how long until they're comfortable, and then you could throw your hat in the ring and pretty much do much of what you're doing now, but now with the signing abilities,
Right.
Just as an idea, kind of adding people's visuals to what's working with. Because like I say, if anybody who steps up, you're in comfortable hands and capable hands for sure with Christine, coordinator. And then I wanted to add too, but just that about the roles. Because last I was on this call, Christine, I was reaching out for discussions regarding the Jural Assembly or certain offices within the Jural Assembly. So when we get to that slide, I'll kind of add that and build off of that regarding the justice.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and go through your presentation.
All right, sounds great. Okay. All right, well, welcome everybody. It is Monday, the 27th of November, the last day of November, so we're moving into the final month of 2023. I hope you all enjoyed your time with your family for Thanksgiving. Again, this is the Indiana Assembly, and the Jural Assembly and Militia Assembly are in session. And we have our guest, PKATF Executive Director and Area 4 Postal Chief Joe on the call. He's been gracious enough to be a part of our calls, to be able to help share this opportunity to be able to bring this historic change, bring it in the right way, correct way, to be able to support us all. Thank you for that. So we want to go ahead and take a moment to honor, a moment of silence to honor our Creator. All right, now screen share again for this part. I don't know what it did with it. Should still be screen sharing there. Yep. Okay. Good. Good. Check, check, check. Everything's check. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead with the Bivens decision. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting or call that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there a response to the Bivens decision for the first time? If you have a response, you can put it in the chat. Also, those that are here for the call, you can put in the chat your name and what county on Indiana or Kentucky that you're on, letting us know that you've joined us. Again, if there are any response to the Bivens decision for the first time, please respond in the chat. Seeing and hearing none. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing and seeing none. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? Hearing none. Furthermore, anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who's being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now and leave the premises or call. Remember, you're the employee, and it's our duty to remind you. All right, so at this point in time, Gibson County, I'm Christine, State Coordinator, Lead Recording Secretary, and Gibson County is in the county just before the very bottom and the little foot in the southwest corner. And then we have Joe, he is on Spencer County. Justin, he's Spencer County, Kentucky. And then I'm not sure yet about Justin, but if he's able to get to the call this evening, he is on Lincoln County, Kentucky. All right, so we're going to go through some updates. Reminder of the calls for December. Will you join us? I wanted to go through Anna's article, Return to Joe's Hamburger Shop 2.0. There was important points in there, and then the list of her recent articles, and then we'll move forward with Joe and discussing the assembly offices that we've been discussing. And so we don't forget, we'll be adjourning till December the 4th at 6 p.m. Central, so that for the General Assembly and Militia Assembly call. And hopefully we'll be able to, this will work well with free conference call, and we can get a smooth transition over on this. That would be exciting. Okay. And obviously give us extra copies of these calls so that we can, albeit it's a lot of storage, but at least it gets extra copies out there available so that people can be able to get it and learn from it. All right, so our mission is we cannot fail. We're willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the dejur into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline this year. We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually approve and revise accordingly. And we conduct ourselves with peace and love. And I have got to change that web address. However, I do want to point out that a lot of what you see from me is coming because I do value Terry and all the work that she has done, and have done as much as I can to bring forward from her as well, to be able to make this happen for everyone. All right, so some reminders of classic signs of infiltrators and behaviors of the deeply indoctrinated. Some of them don't even realize they're doing it. It's just become second nature. So an agent provocateur, one employed to associate with suspected persons and by pretending sympathy with their aims to incite them to some incriminating action. Examples in a sentence: the government used agent provocateurs to try to undermine the opposition party. I'm sure we are all familiar with a lot of those tactics in the spy movies too. Infiltrators, an informer, or a stool pigeon. There are the counter spies, double agents, sleepers. Then there's those lurkers, those that just want to hide around. They want to see what everybody else is doing, but they don't want to offer anything of any support. But they're lurking around as though ready to, as soon as they see something wrong that somebody paperwork. The assembly process, they want to attack any progress made so far, divide and conquer, gossip, so forth. Many want to hold secret meetings away from the assembly, but yet telling those that they're holding meetings with it, oh, it's assembly, but really it's not, and so forth. All right, so the mission statement, let me just make this a little smaller. Oop. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system, serving the people of Indiana, the preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. Value statements. Oh, wrong direction. We stand under the laws of nature. The laws of nature's God, the Ten Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business. We keep the peace and uphold the public law, which you need to think about that statement right there about accepting the fiduciary responsibilities as though it were our own business. It doesn't mean that you hide it as though it's your own business. It means that you're showing that you're caring for it and being a good steward of the service that you're providing and and if you are holding any assets of any form. Okay, it's your stewardship that you're showing within that. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and its co-creator, because we're all in this together. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. We do not and we will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assembly militias operated as they are supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshal Service. We perform the treaties and constitutional agreements already established and for supporting the restored American government, the reconstruction thereof. We will become responsible for the conduct of the restored Confederation and Federal Republic. So take notice. All of the de facto is out there doing is what, in a sense, we have to recreate. This is what I'm paraphrasing, but this is what I got from Paul, the chief marshal from the coordinator call, was that essentially we need to realize that all of the roles that all the other that the de facto is doing, we have to actually do here. We have to actually fill those roles here. Every bit of those, we have to fill those roles here on the land and soil jurisdiction. So a lot of it is going to mirror that because they actually were mirroring what it was supposed to be. So just some things to think about. All right, so we have our 4 pillars. This is the primary function that we need to be working with to get the assembly standing. Once all 4 pillars are standing, then the state coordinator's role can sunset at that point. The 4 pillars are the General Assembly, the International Business Assembly, the Jural Assembly, and the Militia Assembly. All right. Here's a reminder of the articles that Anna has reminded us of what needs to be done, and also a reminder in the links are somewhere through here, is to go to pull up and read the law of peace. That is going to be a huge key to help get a lot of the pieces to fit together for you. Again, I'm going to be getting through puppies and Thanksgiving. I'm going to be probably putting out a recording or doing some kind of call or something to go through that law of peace as a separate call. It's a pretty in-depth piece of material, so that would be something that would, or it may be one of those that I'm reading in the middle of the night when my husband's on 3rd shift, so I can. Of course, I may get on it and say, hey, anybody wants to join while I'm reading in the middle of the night, you're welcome to as well. That's a possibility too. All right, so our goals then, of course, are we need to get all the counties populated. And then we need to fill the offices. So we wanted to make sure that, again, from as we're further getting more instruction on how to put this together to make sure that we're protecting everyone, let's go ahead and put pro tem after these elected titles so that we're covering, because it is in the interim here until the assembly is actually standing. So that way we're just covering some bases here. And then, of course, we need to work on getting the committees established for Jural and Militia Assembly. These are not all the committees, but a good start that would be able to really get some movement happening, as well as support lightening my load as well. For those that are looking for things that they're looking for ways to be able to help support, this would be great as well to be able to support that. Okay. And then, all right, so we have, there was one in October of a new Indianian that is in process for Allen County, and then 6 for the month of November, all in process. Allen County, Lake County, 3 on Marion County, and 1 St. Joseph County. And then on Kentucky, there has been a new in process on Graves County, Kentucky. And so we want to, we'll be getting those added into the in process emails to start helping them to move forward with the steps, getting connected with Justin as well. All right. Okay, a reminder, a free conference call. There again is the website. The calls are going to be moving over there. I'll still, obviously we're seeing I can still go through OBS so that I can record to YouTube, and it should still be, it's been said, it should still be set to be able to record to Rumble and Locals. Or Rumbles and Odyssey. It's not able to with Locals because it was a 30-minute recording window right now until we get enough supporters, as well as it did not want to share the camera with Zoom. So Locals was one that I haven't been able to connect live. Now it may work a little bit differently once we completely phase out of Zoom. And it might be a little more more friendly at that point, so we can be able to check that out. But again, right now we're still at 30 minutes of recording time on Locals, so that'll be one. It may be we have to, cut off some time for them, but then they'll have to come to the other to get the full recording. But it'll be a start there, growing. All right, a reminder again of the schedule now for the rest of I've gone ahead. This is for the whole quarter, but we want to remember for December. So this Saturday, December 2nd, is outreach. That will be on free conference call. It's also on the calendar wall, already scheduled in there, to join at 5 p.m. Central for outreach call. And again, Kentucky is welcome as well. And you're welcome to invite those from other states, because I'll just make sure to remind them that they need to connect with their state coordinator as well for that outreach call. And those are going to be the first Saturday of the month. And again, I've only scheduled out for the first quarter, as we're working through my husband's schedule. I don't want to schedule way out there and things change from that aspect. We still have to get together to see about, or Justin and I have seen about town halls, and it seems like we should be able to do pretty smooth so far. At least I haven't had any. I'm still showing green on free conference call, so hopefully it's putting that recording there. So then assembly calls. So again, listed for this evening. So then December 4th, 11th, and 18th. And then not, because Monday that is December 25th. So that way we want to make sure that we're spending time with our family. Anna, I'm sure we'll still have a call. And so definitely make sure, if you weren't able to get to any of the calls throughout the year with Anna, make sure the Christmas one is the one you're on, because she's always telling an amazing Christmas story. Also for December, we've got the new member orientation. It's been condensed down to three sessions. So they'll be just before the assembly call for those Monday evenings. So that way, we're hoping then you'll want to follow over and be able to at least see the recording. Listen to it on the radio for a free conference call, listen to the live call on YouTube, and that way you can still be able to move forward. Of course, you may have already got other information in and paperwork in that we can be able to also get you on the call. All right. Again, their free conference call has breakout rooms. I haven't been that's on my to-do of figuring out how the the breakout rooms work and how that lobby works. Okay. That was that info. All right, so now I want to go through it. This is on the slides for you all, but I want to go ahead and stop screen sharing that for a minute and then go on over to the actual article, because there was a few other things I wanted to share with you in that. Okay. This is Return to Joe's 2.0. Let me screen share. Okay. All right. So it's all criminal insider cronyism and obstruction of trade to the hilt, and they've been getting away with it for over 100 years. Right in front of us. Right in front of our noses. Of course, we thought our government was monitoring all these cozy relationships, so it must be okay. They couldn't be doing anything illegal or unlawful, not while we're spending billions each year for lawful enforcement and related services, right? And a point to bring out here is that again, they're having an issue with the debt ceiling, and they want the average Joe to believe that debt ceiling has to do with the debt that we created. But that debt is what they're spending debt. And so of course they're going to raise the debt because they also hold the purse strings. So as a reminder, while they're playing all the dramatic back and forth over the debt ceiling and threatening to shut down the government and everything, It's all to try and make you feel guilty as though it's the weight of your debt. Your debt is nothing in that. And because they had just voted to raise the debt ceiling, and now they're going again with having issues with the debt, not having enough. So, and it's more drama to keep up with all this other nonsense that's going on. Okay, so back to this. Turns out that all that law enforcement was to protect and profit the criminal corporations in a private capacity. These agents and police forces weren't being paid as public peacekeepers at all. No, they're working at the grocery store in the middle of the night while in uniform, or at Walmart. I don't see sheriff. Well, I have seen some sheriff. I have to take that back, but it depends on the area. Because I think we were still in Indianapolis when we did see a sheriff, but more locally we hadn't seen any. It's been more police, but I'm thinking they're starting to filter in with sheriffs as well, working at anyway. That's a whole other issue in that anyway. Even the county sheriffs have been on the take. All our federal employees were studiously silent about their actual political affiliations and the illegal looting and monopolies and credit fraud, and every kind of illegal confiscation went on literally for decades and was unopposed simply because the people of this country were trusting and ignorant and kept deliberately in the dark by their subcontractors. Just like how the Catholic churches were seeing it crumble now. They didn't want to say anything when this one built the whole cathedral as a snakehead. That wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue when they were supporting all. But now, because they're changing, deeply rooted doctrine that's their everyday routine, I think is kind of more of what some of them are a little bit upset about. But some of it is, that's got to be questionable when you're, depending on what you're changing it to. So, some things to think about. And there were men and women every step of the way that could have said something. And then if they still weren't heard, you walk away. You don't continue in it. This is all the more reprehensible in view of the kindness, valor, generosity, and loyalty that so many Americans have shown to what they thought of as their public employees and their government. And we're always made to feel guilty and shamed into remember, but you don't want to disrespect the veterans. No, we don't want to disrespect the veterans. They did what they did, but at some point, because they've got far worse to deal with within themselves than what we should be putting on them, because they didn't know. All right, there are a number of things that need to be done. First and foremost, peace must come to our land and soil, and there can be no more false claims or illegal confiscations or self-serving registrations or patent claims against Americans or other living people based on undisclosed injections of patented genetic materials. Second, all the bar attorneys and hired jurists must stand down and be regulated to those courts of special limited jurisdiction they're heir to. They cannot be allowed to misaddress any American ever. But you have to stand up for that. Third, the principals responsible must be exposed for their wrongdoing and not allowed to hide behind pawns and scapegoats and storefronts, such as carrying on business as the UN corporation and pretending to be the United Nations organization instead. This is also connected to your name. They hijacked the name through the birth certificate. But there are so many, the point is you're claiming that name back. But there are so many out there that are quick. They want to change the name as quickly as possible. And it's like, but the whole point is you're claiming the name back for what, and some, yes, they are sure that there's some bad energies that are coming from past family, historical, ancestral, coming through the name. Well, do something to make it better then. How can you shine a better light on it instead of allowing it to be a bad seed? Instead, you're running away from it to come up with a whole other mask. To do the same exact thing that they did to you. You're still hiding from yourself. You're still hiding from who you are within. And that's all. And you're, at some point, you have to come and face that. Fourth, all our unlawfully converted property and institutions and resources must be returned to us and to our control. This means the state trusts and all other property, assets, and interests that naturally belong to us, our money, our credit, our good names, our patents. See, that's our good names. We're supposed to be bringing our good names back instead of leaving them as bad names, right? We want to take them back as good names. Our patents, our trademarks, our public buildings, equipment we paid for, shareholder and cash, asset, interest, land titles, and everything else that is ours must be returned to us free and clear. Then look at the debt ceiling. Fifth, all contrary activities such as promotion of the QFS and the so-called central bank digital currency boondoggle must cease and desist and make way for an honest system based on actual land jurisdiction commerce, not maritime commerce. So I thought that was a good article to bring forward on that. Okay, let me get back to here and screen share. Oh, don't want that. Put that back down. But I do want this one and screen share. Okay, so this was the 5 things that I've put in here so that you have them within the PDF as well, and of course there's the link. And then here are all the articles, recent articles from Anna. And of course one of them was Return to Joe's Hamburger Shop 2.0. And definitely go ahead, because she did the, there was another one here to Joe's Hamburger Shop. Here it is. Return to Joe's Hamburger Shop here as well. $44.90. So you'll want to read both of those. And of course all the others. Here she goes in $44.97. She goes more into QFS, so that'll help some more to give you some clarity on that. A reminder on the med beds, if you wanted to check out the website for their website, contact them for more information. If you want one for yourself, or if you wanted to support the assembly, here's a link at the bottom that you can be able to support to be able to bring that forward for Indiana. All right.
Christine, can you go
Yep.
to the that link there?
This one for the bed.
Oh, just the link. Yeah. I did share something recently on Mattermost. I don't recall the channel, but I think it was PKTF. But,
Okay.
there was a slide presentation in there.
Oh yeah. I haven't.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about. I had puppies. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, well, I found that on that site.
Oh yeah.
Just as an additional. It's a separate work, but somebody went through the effort of compiling the information and then, building a slideshow as well. Let's see if you go down. I think it is on the front page. Nope. Keep going. Going down. That's the bottom.
That's the bottom. You
Try
want
the about then.
about.
Maybe that's it.
No.
Well, I know it's on there. Try the videos, maybe. find it on there. I'll find it again.
I'm already liking this one here. How playing an instrument benefits your brain.
Yeah. Well,
Those are all videos.
the type of headset plus being horizontal, I don't know if the bed itself also vibrates to the sound that's being put forward, but it's actually a real thing. I mean, it's as simple as it appears to be. Is as simple as it should be.
Let's see what this is. I don't know if it's gonna change.
Yeah, that's not it. I don't recall where I found it, Christine. But
Okay.
did you want to finish out your? You
Okay.
have one PowerPoint there, one slide on your report there regarding the quantifiable offenses that I put together.
Yep. Let me get to switch that to here. That's this one. Oh. Right? Yeah.
And if you could, if you've read through them, if you can read through them also, and then afterwards, I'll read some, you can read some, how about that?
Okay.
And then I'll move into the PKTF website.
Okay.
Helps tie all this in.
I'll start.
Sure.
1. American political status correction not being officially addressed and assigned a proper recording category at the state level in behalf of any American county government. 2. Proper opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to. Well, that should say level on behalf. All right, so this is an offense. Okay, this is not a scenario. An abstract. This is an actual trespass or trespass against the citizens, the American state citizens, state and future county level. And we've learned this early on is just a simple hurdle. I mean, it's simple to them, but it's quite troubling for the Americans not to be able to simply go into their county clerk's office and have things recorded. So this is, and every one of these 6, there's many more, but we thought to choose 6 that seem to be most would agree is prevalent and pressing for immediate progress.
Right, I have to agree. Definitely, that's a big one because it's the one. How many are even accepting other types of recordings anymore? And then if they do, then some are deciding, well, they're not going to record it.
Right. Well, I'll save the best, which is the summation of these 6 after you read them, and then I'll explain briefly each one.
Okay. All right. 2.
Best for last.
Oh, right. 2. Proper opportunity for lawful recognition of personal conveyances of private automobiles, either upon newly purchased or purchased pre-owned automobiles. 3. Lawful.
So the record. Well, I was going to say that I'll explain briefly each one, so everybody can see where our minds are at with this. Everybody can attest these are pressing issues. But this one is just, again, every one of these are recognition bound. Recognition and jurisdiction walk hand in hand, and the people are feeling the press and disrespect of just simply not being recognized. Now, some could say it takes time, and so be it, if that's the case. Nevertheless, these are offenses, and you'll see where they'll go to here in a moment after you read them. But this one is, pre-owns, okay, or new purchase automobiles. There has to be a juncture where these dealerships will have gotten the memo that man or woman walking in, especially in their recognized official capacity as a citizen, especially. Let's try to categorize American state nationals and American state citizens in their respectful roles. Those American state citizens are volunteering to serve other sovereigns. So there's that recognition, and nevertheless, he or she has to get around to conduct um, going to and from, and then where they are, then they conduct their business, then they punch out, then they move from here to there again. They're traveling, period. You know?
Hmm.
But the fact of being able to travel again is silly, but it's quite troubling as a hurdle.
I had an email today on the same thing. And I agree. It needs to be it needs to go to the level of the car dealerships, because they're the ones that don't really they don't have the knowledge of realizing they're under that programming. Oh, we got to connect it with the state. We got to make sure the state's in on every bit of it.
Well, anyway, you know,
And they don't have to. They don't have to submit all that information
right.
to them. They just don't know.
They don't. They offer it, and yeah. So you just gotta. You can look at it as the auto dealers as a kind of a approachable middleman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're offering it, okay. If you're offering it, that's good. Let's take care of this purchase as it is here and now. It's, of course, this will be in the future.
Right.
People can be optimistic about these progresses, but again, these progresses they will have to be in the hands of both American state citizens and nationals. And you'll see in the end after we read through these. But these changes, folks, they take place because of state assembly participation, both national and state citizens. And to go over these hurdles only goes so far during these meetings, but then it takes action, which we'll get to in a moment. I'm sure everybody will be pretty pleased. But the Kentucky Assembly's Litigation Committee has worked on these offenses, and it's so we're a little bit ahead there. We can share with Indiana your future litigation and yourself, Christine, to see what we're working on with this. But go ahead.
Exciting. Which I do want to mention that we do have Angie on Owen County, Indiana, is with us on the call on YouTube. So we want to welcome you, dear, on the call. All right. Number 3, the lawful opportunity to assign any personal conveyance as an assigned automobile as a personal conveyance by way of a purchasable Regulation Z sticker in place of the alternative yearly purchased vehicle registration sticker that accompanies all lawfully purchased state-issued license plates. And that's where they can also try to pull in a lot of those inspections to see if they can catch anything else.
This is a contingency. This would be, that's why they're kind of placed there in that order.
Mm-hmm.
Again, pre-owned purchases or newly purchased. I don't know about lease, falls under a different category, but procuring automobiles or conveyances. Now we have an opportunity to discuss this with the auto dealer, the sales representative, those who close the deal, and the state's Department of Motor Vehicles. Inside the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Department of Travel. This department does exist, and if you're talking about a department, you're talking about a state cabinetry. You got federal cabinet and state cabinets. That under the state being the governor, federal that under the presidency. Those administrations. Nevertheless, we've identified where these remedies can take place. They're reasonable, they're doable, they're cost effective, they're recognized by their jurisdiction, and so number 3 is when, let's just say that the auto dealer, they'll know what you're talking about. Okay, that's the moment where you realize, okay, well, contingency. The American state citizen, let's say the justice, because that's what we'll be talking about a little bit later, needs to acquire a new automobile to get from here to there, from their home to their office, or however
Mm-hmm.
the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Or deem their current automobile, which has already been purchased. Nevertheless, the yearly registration comes around, and it's at that point where they make that change. No longer will I be registering this in this manner, but registration, whatever the state wants to justify as safety measures regarding that registration and that plate, that license plate, it doesn't change. That plate follows
Right.
that VIN number, and it's just a yearly update.
Just to
And
put
like
that little
interesting,
sticker on it so they can show they touched it
yeah,
every year.
right, right, right. And I'm talking through some of the nuances of the hurdle, but we'll be talking through these, and these are you'll see where these 6 points will land ultimately. I'm just kind of talking through the what
Mhm.
everybody's already aware of, but we're
Right.
also touching upon the remedies, which are very doable.
Yes.
So this will be taking place let's say Kentucky and Frankfurt's Department of Travel inside the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is a commercial department. So the regulations, these stickers, and it's an appeal to the service, you know,
Mhm.
um, to the point of require, you know,
So that's
to
also a possibility of the assembly connecting with the Department of Travel within Indiana, state of Indiana's BMV to.
right. Now here's an example of where the Department of Travel actually services their 14th Amendment citizenry. Okay, you have, cars reach and trucks reach their certain lifespan, and depending on the residual value, that car or truck, once it reaches a certain age, can regardless, as long as it's still operable, uh, falls into a category of a classic or an antique. Okay, that is a different license plate.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's provided within the Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, obviously, and so it's very cheap, very affordable to have that on that particular vintage machinery. But at the same time, it expresses to the people that this, first of all, this machine is a classic antique. It's not used on the road anymore like it was, and it's now a collector's item, and falls into the idea of trading or purchases of
Mhm. Yeah,
antique
it's
machinery.
not in service.
But right, but the practicality of it, it can still roll down the road.
Right. Yeah.
And it still has potential. But in
Mhm.
that moment, once it falls within that realm of years, it is no longer any kind of potential commercial vehicle. And it wasn't purchased as a commercial vehicle to begin with.
Right.
Uh, Power units, things that are purchased through lease from companies, or built to be commercial machineries, like the one I use, $140,000 International LT. But it's a power unit. It's 10 wheels. It's 450 horsepower, twin turbo. But it was built for that capacity.
Mhm.
Well, you buy a brand new 2024 Toyota Camry. Sure, it can deliver newspapers and flowers and pizza, but it wasn't purchased that way. So you got two approaches with two and three here to make that determination based on that political status that this automobile will stay an automobile. You can make that determination either at the department, the sales department, upon purchase, whether it's new or used, or after the fact within your Department of Motor Vehicles, your state capital. So those are
And that's important key terms of knowing the difference. Cause for us, it's automobile, where for the in commerce, it's a vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forego our intelligence. We don't go to a vehicle dealer. You never go to a vehicle dealer
Right.
unless you're a company owner and you're gonna buy a bunch of taxi cabs
Mhm.
or a limousine or conversion vans or power units. That's the best thing. Or tractors, things like that. And then when they're already decaled up, and as soon as they roll off or as soon as they get to their destination, they get UCC, IDOT numbers, company logos placed all over that unit. Those are the kind of ideas. But anyway, yeah, you don't go to an auto dealer. Somehow it turns into a vehicle automatically by default. And
Right.
the reason why that is, folks, is because it can be. That's the exploitation of the capitalist system. You can enter into business, in a free market capitalist system. Well, the current administrations have already known this and have exploited that system of enterprise, or governance, I should say. I don't know. however you want to decipher that. But simply because that 2024 Toyota Camry can deliver newspapers and flowers and pizza and whatnot, doesn't mean that that's what it was purchased for.
Right.
See? So you have an opportunity to make that distinction either upon purchase or upon renewal of registration. So those are the two main points about 2 and 3.
Well, and that should hold true too, even if you were going to get a lease. You know, if you're gonna, I mean, albeit you're going into contract with a corporation, but it still holds true. You're not purchasing it to put it into service. I'm just trying to think of ways for those if they're not able to put up the money up front.
It could be, and I can tell you, Federation vehicles, they are considered vehicles. The Continental Marshal Service, Peacekeeping Task Force, I'm sure the sheriffs through the state at the county levels will purchase or lease American state vehicles, but however they determine them, or Federation vehicles, they'll either be purchased or leased with that same exact notion. These are going to be used for this purpose. These are American state citizens or American state nationals serving the Federation at the international land and sea level, those kinds of things. So yeah, I mean, in the future, again, we're talking about doable, near future, significant changes. But these changes have to be faced head on, and that's kind of what we're doing right now, is placing it on the record that these offenses fly in the face of everybody right now, and it's high time they be dismantled.
Right. And as we get to know to be able to articulate this, it'll be able to help us, because we're going to have to educate them, and so that way they can be able to.
And it's enough being accosted along the side of the road regarding these things, or sidestepping these, purchasing placards, which is not no harm, no foul there, but the system is all too eager to illustrate their conflict with regards to a placard. Okay, well, purchasing of the automobile, in order to streamline it and maintain the DMV's perspective on safety by having these machines in their system, fine. They can justify safeguarding those things. But when it comes to the registration aspect, even the registration part, there's remedies for that, and that's no longer purchasing yearly registration stickers that goes up. 2.3, next would be 2.4, next would be 2.5. How about regulations, the black and white sticker, one-time purchase that goes in that same.
Because we understand there's costs that come with it. We're not trying to get you to print that for free either.
Right, of course, yeah. So everything's reasonable. Every aspect regarding the incorporated service and the unincorporated coexistence, I guess you could say. There are definitely reasonable ways to coexist, and so we're fleshing it out and bringing these to the forefront for everybody to. Do you want to read number 4 there?
Yes. Proper recognition of all American grand jury investigations at the state level for all qualified American State Assembly of properly vetted grand jury members.
Now, there at the local level, I don't recall the actual title, but we are talking about a pretrial investigation that produces a presentment or an indictment. But currently, there is a service, a part-time service of grand juries. I don't know what they're called. I know we did touch upon, what was the name of that? You talked about it last month, I think you talked about it.
The tails.
Right.
The talesman role.
Right, and well, if it's synonymous with what was out there regarding local grand juries, these are men and women who serve for a certain amount of weeks throughout each year for a number of years. I think it's 2 years, and they're basically, part of their job, part time, is to come to the city center, go into whatever courtroom or inside the courthouse, whichever room, which on whatever floor, and they conduct investigations as a team, part time, and we'll touch upon that too. But as far as now the American grand jury, the talesman, if that's the case, or just the local grand jury at the county level, serving to assist at the state level. If it's one in one county and two other people and two counties over and two more across the entire state as a group of four or five there, however many it would be. Essentially, they're working for the state in association with evidences being brought to them to their office. I guess at first it would be their home office, but the idea is getting with the recognition to also soon get the opportunity to go. Of course, if they're able to travel there, going back to the conveyance, I'm not on the road to earn a living, but I am offering my services, and I'm recognized as a state citizen, traveling from my home 12 miles away to my city center, and I'm working within my annex building or my courthouse, and I'm working with a team who are part of the grand jury, the American grand jury. And then they listen to evidences, and evidences just like these, exactly like these. As a matter of fact, all of these and more offenses. And they investigate, and they will go over these exact same complaints. And these are 6 complaints that anybody can bring to their Jural assembly. If it's at the county level, they can provide it to their sheriff. And that sheriff will be the one who brings those evidences to that grand jury for investigation. And if it's not a criminal matter, then of course they would bring that to the grand jury for investigation. And of course it's supposed to be larger. There are supposed to be limited, if they're called talesmen. There should be local grand juries that serve in that capacity. I'll have to look that up. I bring it back to you, Christine.
Okay.
To confirm, but absolutely.
And that would also work with the county organizers to be able to support helping to get talesmen involved as well.
Right, and they can do this from home, just like a logistics company can dispatch, just like a medical transcriptionist can do work dealing with invoices and whatnot. In this case, evidences that are bona fide. They just need, they need attention, and there's a team effort within a network that's providing a legitimate service. And in this case, these are offenses. And whether this is just a notion of a repugnancy against American people it's embarrassing, actually. First of all, it's embarrassing to see how many typos I got in here. There's one there. But anyway, that's just not to be able to get these hurdles out of the way it's reached its end, as long as the people can realize how they can affect these changes by first identifying these hurdles, then handing them to the proper, escalating benevolently, but nevertheless escalating to get these particular hurdles addressed, investigated, ruled upon, presented, and then moved into a trial jury. Now, these aren't offenses against any one particular or somebody, because these are offenses against repugnant against the assembly, themselves, the citizenry. And this is where they can't move about, nor are they recognized to even consider a matter as offensive, which is 2 steps away from jury nullification. Once these evidences are brought to them, investigated, and deemed to be absolutely, these are offenses. I'll just use point 2 again really quick. I mean, it is absolutely offensive not to have the opportunity, knowing in your heart of hearts that you're going to pick up that brand new 2024 Camry, a nice machine, got a great residual value, but then that it's just a matter of time when you get that license plate. It's going to be in the mail after that temporary tag is up, that it's going to be considered ran through in a product from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and now that's considered a vehicle. That offense has reached its end, folks. But
Yep.
You have to be able to do that. You have to position yourself to be able to eviscerate these offenses because they're minor offenses. Actually, they're kind of laughable, really, when you think about it in the grander scheme of things. Okay.
But
All right.
small in the but enough to cause a lot of trouble in people's lives too.
But to realize it's not just any one of us on our own. The cards are stacked against uh, the incorporations, the incorporated corporations, and the municipal services are leveraged highly, impressive against the people. So we should know that we can't do. The people try this, and they get very limited success. Um, towards any remedies whatsoever regarding these things. And we're talking about just getting into, walking through out your door, just conduct your day, getting in that automobile, and now thinking, this is just crazy. I'm still having to pay this registration and this kind of insurance and, property tax on this automobile, knowing I am not in commercial capacity at all, nor do I intend to be, nor was my intention from the beginning at the moment of purchase. It's got to be. It will be over.
Right.
Just people have to realize how to properly approach these offenses. All right, I'll read number 5.
Okay.
And 6. Again, going back to recognition, you'll notice just about every one of these is addressing recognition. So number 5, proper recognition of all American state citizens who hold a properly elected state citizen office, serving the American people, which are the American state nationals. So this goes back to the recognition aspect. This is not just generalized, though. Now we're moving into, let's say we've already addressed and have handed off our evidences to our grand jury, the cumulative members of our grand jury across the state. Now we're talking about American state citizens directly being able to not be shackled to their corporate day job and now being recognized for what they are, and being able to at least entertain the notion of the remedy of how to no longer have to work for another corporation, or work for a job that's just tying up your, you may pay well, but it just ties up just about every available time you have each week, and it never ends. But to be recognized as a citizen, and our counterparts at the state level also receiving compensation and also serving a service, providing a service, but they're content with receiving FRNs as their compensation, where American state citizens are content with receiving credit. And so that's the emojis. I wanted to touch on this, Christine, because you really did a fine job providing that description of the mutual offset credit exchange exemption. So point 5 here, though, and with that work and that recognition and those bona fide approaches towards compensation, which is equal to credit instead of debt, and they both equal out on the ledger regarding compensation. Instead of actual money, you got those two alternatives. But each American state citizen should be content with, you're not going to get rich, but you certainly can at least not work at a full-time job anymore, maybe a part-time job, and serve the people to make a little extra compensation for yourself.
Right.
Or moonlight, however, but nevertheless, you'd still be able to get your larger debts.
Well, they're not supposed to impose on people's right to make a living.
Right. But it's just as a recognizable approach towards the state citizens, attempting to serve the people, but realizing that they're kind of walled in when they cannot tear away from their job. And again, the Kentucky Litigation Committee has touched upon these and about 10 other offenses. So I just want to share a few that kind of stood out. Because anybody listening to the call here can definitely relate to every one of these, even to the point of I can't afford any time. I have to work, and then I have to recover and rest and recover, and then my relaxation part, the week is entirely gone. And then the next week is destined for the same preoccupation. But if they can realize that, wait a minute, there is a way if I decided to, take one of these offices that you'll be sharing in a moment, that as long as I can get recognition, and I don't have to even make the grade as a part of prerequisites. I can learn as I go, and that's fair, Who gets an opportunity to be able to do that, You have to get the grade first, and that takes many years. So it's ultra reasonable, ultra doable, and then with these 6 points here, it's identifiable as far as what these hurdles are and how they can be remedied.
And that's where I'm working to try and find alternative ways to be able to, for others to be able to put their contribution in that aren't able to make specific calls, of being able to find other ways that they still can be able to support, without thinking that they have to be on at every single call. But it may be of changing and setting a different for having committee call times. That might be where you would be able to say, okay, I can free up time where it's definitely working for committee work, and then that way you're giving that support. So
that's 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours a week, one maybe 2 meetings throughout the whole week, and that's just a brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not actually having to, you're just touching upon and diving into offenses in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And these are offenses that are priority one, as far as people considering even learning the role of a justice. Like we touched upon. And these last 3 points here, 4, 5, and 6, lean into that, which I was really, I saw this earlier today. I was like, oh man, Christine's got these already queued up for us to talk about regarding how then we can move forward with these points. We already touched upon where they would end up, and that's at your grand jury level.
Mm-hmm.
And then point 6 is again, I just mentioned it really, but again, with the proper recognition of each lawfully defined American state assembly's offices, so that each American state citizen holding and serving in those offices can be properly compensated through the mutual offset credit exchange exemption process during each tenure. Okay, so 5 and 6 walk hand in hand. 4, 5, and 6 walk hand in hand. The other 3 are just regarding conveyance, getting around from here to there,
Mm-hmm.
And not using the roadways for commercial activities. Okay, so every one of those. Now, with 4 and then 5 and 6 before, this is a grand jury. Let's just assume safely that each one of these are indeed offenses, major offenses, and it's unanimous across each one of the counties, or at least grand jury offices across the state, then moves into the state Jural assembly for a trial by jury. In this case, it wouldn't be, you don't have to be, and this is something that the assemblies can practice with, all 6 of these. They can begin to practice mock trials with every one of these points. They're mainly 2 points, 1 through 3, and then 4 through 6. Where'd they go?
It's sir, I'm coming back to it.
Okay. But the justice can now practice with, okay, so how do I qualify in this mock-up? But these really very real points of offense, okay, so I'm not dealing with a party against who's committed a crime or an offense. I'm not dealing with a claimant. I'm dealing with the state of state offending, not conducting their own due diligence and recognizing these benevolent services, to the point of being able to move about from here to there, from point A to B and back again, and then as far as the conveyance goes, and then actually moving into jury notification. And that's every single one of these is not an offense, or not. There's no. What do you want to call it? You have a claimant, which is the people in this case, but everybody is bringing these. If you think about how you want to approach investigating these, again, let's just use point 1. This is my point. Let's say that I brought point 1 to my sheriff. If I didn't bring it to my sheriff, I bring it to the state as an observation. I'm not saying, hey, I was pulled over by the police, and this because now, and they threw me out of the car or whatever, and because I didn't, you know, I declared my status, but they're not hearing it, and I have to show my card. Again, these days are over as long as we can prioritize and categorize these offenses and not air our own offenses, because then anybody who hears my claim, that future justice will know, hey, we're pulling from a random selection of jurors. That justice has to qualify those jurors. And if any of those jurors know me, especially if they know my situation, then they become disqualified, That's part of the jury qualification process. And because if any of body that's on the state knows me, they know about my woes and my controversy, and then now it becomes partiality, and so that's where litigation committees can become an issue, because people bringing their own issues, dragging their chains and dust and their snivel rags and their abrasions and all of that. Well, that diminishes the purity of your random jury selection process, especially if they know me or if they know of me. Now, if I brought this offense just as an observation and keep my own issues to myself and let the grand jury do their job and say, this isn't an offense, now, as a collective trial jury, jury nullification, or jury nullification with modification of the current state statutes, the state Jural Assembly grand jury, our state trial jury can place it on the record, bring their ruling forward, and place it on the record as a ruling, to no longer operate in that way. No, the state of Kentucky, the Commonwealth, will create a proper recording category from this point forward. Just the same as our own self-determination, our records, is on how we had to go through and create our own land recording system, land recording office. It's the same approach. But in this case, an offense, that takes a jury to nullify that offense that plagues the people, and each one of these same points. But again, going back to the justice, let's do this justice a good solid favor and sanitize our approach. Just bring the offense forward, generalize it, remove any ownership. If we have any buy-in about any of these offenses, keep them to ourselves. We'll have our day in court, or actually, the trial jury, or trial by jury, will have their day in court and nullify these offenses. That's how that's supposed to go. Okay, so there's that.
Beautiful.
Sorry, that's a little bit a long way around, but I'm going to go ahead and screen share if that's all right.
Okay, yeah. The site was upgraded as of today. The site is PKTF news site is faster, and it's upgraded for a year. What we're going to do, I'll just kind of talk through these, and I will point out some of the things we just talked about and some of the new features. So we're going to put this out here. We're going to remove this outreach to the donate section here. And we will be writing more articles about the previous pilot project that has morphed into an actual service that the Continental Marshal Service will be offering. But this is an outreach regarding anybody who would like to donate for the, whether it's $1 or whatever, or just send us a comment, tell us we're doing a good job, or whatever the case may be. But we had a build out cost of anybody who has a website or hosts a website, manages a website, they know it's a little bit costly, but not too bad. But if you want to donate, these will be moved out of the area. The area of the homepage should be for calls of action, which really starts in this area here. So these will go away. Sorry, I don't mean to flip around.
and then we'll move into what the PKTF narrows in on and provides services to, because some of the assemblies are not quite crystal clear on what we offer to our external peacekeepers. But essentially we work actually from right to left. We focus in on services that provide peacekeeping endeavors exterior to their assembly. And part of our charter is to assure the incorporated state and federal services that these entities are conducting themselves properly. Okay, so what it comes down to. But we do work from right to left. Everybody who enters into their assembly after they are recognized on whatever level of status they are, whatever they're interested in, they goes to the General Assembly. Then they should be pointed to and encouraged to reach out to their and build up their assembly militia, because of the fact that there's many aspects to their assembly militia. But now we have links, and then we go from there, which you'll notice within the assembly, state and county, even though the assembly militia is exterior to the assembly as a peacekeeper, it has its own pillar, so it seems to be internal, and it is, because all the other remaining three pillars assist with the success of the state and local government. But still, there's a lot of things that takes place within the assembly, and protecting your community, which is your militia, is part of that group, protecting it. Let's see what this link goes. There's a link to these other two, so see how fast responsive this new upgrade is. Okay. Now this is, right now, since we don't have any authentic photojournalism yet, which is part of the assembly militia, we deal with PowerPoint presentations and stock photos and articles. Now the one things that are genuine, you'll notice on the homepage that we do not promote or accept any artificial intelligence news work. But we will use PowerPoint presentations or slides, animations, stock photos, in the place of or in between actual high quality local photojournalism and their articles, of course. So this is actually a PowerPoint presentation. All of the animations that you'll see on the site is part of a PowerPoint presentation. This is actually one of numerous of this one particular presentation, and it's animated on the back end, just to save on time and just to kind of convey that the Assembly Militia Command leadership is not. You don't see beans, bullets, camouflage, weapons of any sort.
Nope.
You see just a man here and with all these few points, and then these just a little touch base. This is not an article, as it is just a page that emphasizes and starts to touch base and start to dive into these three external peacekeepers. Now, what was different is these three sites did not have a link inside these flip boxes. Now they do.
Awesome.
This will go away. This is just to remind people that there's limited content so far. And with the justice that I asked earlier to talk about, kind of missed the opportunity last week, but this week we have more. Now we move into that of your sheriff. Now this is very interesting. We actually have in the Continental Marshal Service, we're working with a retired chief of police in Postal Area 7 who can confirm a lot of what we know to be
Right on.
contrasting county level peacekeepers, and that's your sheriff. Now, and again, this is again, like I say, every PowerPoint you see or appears to be a PowerPoint, it actually is. There's many other slides, and this will be provided to your assembly militia leadership during exclusive meetings. Okay, but this just touches base on what we are aware of regarding incorporated peacekeepers at the county level versus unincorporated. Okay, so let's just start with what people are not familiar with. Okay, and we'll tie it back in with what they are. So you have your civil jurisdiction sheriff, and just the bullet points is who is who works with them. He or she is the sole jurisdiction of their sheriff's deputies, their sheriff's posse, and this is an escalation. This is from the most poignant or the most direct to the least. These are all subordinate assisting elements. So you have their sheriff's deputies, the sheriff's posse, the county law defense personnel, deterrent, and then these are your first responders, which comes from within your assembly militia. This is not your assembly militia in its entirety. This is just the defense part that defends your community, which is your militia. So they offer them their services in this regard. And this is where your assembly militia provides that. And again, it's assisting the sheriff's deputies. This actually goes after the sheriff's posse. And then you have your deputy continental marshals who assist the sheriff, the last. And then this starts to move into international if that sheriff has incidences that are going to and through their county and then out again. So that's what people may not recognize, but this is what your peacekeeping task force is, just a touching base slightly. This is 2 slides out of 35 slides of this one particular focal point, just to let you know. But here's your incorporated sheriff that we're kind of used to, but we may not be used to who their services are or subordinates are. They have the sheriff, they have their sheriff's deputies. If you can recall what was here, did you recall what was here in the dejur? Let's go look at the second component. Sheriff's posse. Did you know that a sheriff would have a posse? Part of their posse comitatus. It's an augmented service that assists their sheriffs if there's a certain escalation that the sheriff's deputies cannot maintain. But they are part of the county element. These are people who are volunteers to assist in their own unique narrow skills to assist the sheriff's deputies and the sheriff to conduct their maintaining the peace and whatnot. Now look who it is that does that same role in the de facto. I'm going to change those into incorporated. These are your police departments. This is who the sheriff's posse, whether they like it or not, that's their posse, and they're paid. And they're not volunteers; they're paid. Whereas the sheriff's posse would be a volunteer. They don't serve in uniform, they don't have arresting powers, they're not on patrol, but they do assist the sheriff's posse. The sheriff's, they assist the sheriff's deputies, I'm sorry. Who assists the sheriff's deputies now? You can tell, I think you touched on it earlier, Christine. The police. You mentioned something about the police.
Working at the security guards in their uniforms.
Okay. All right. So now you see how that goes. Now I'll move on here quickly, but now we move into what the assembly militia is with regards to maintaining the peace or protecting their community. This is also the community. All right. Your defense and first responders is one element out of numerous elements of your assembly militia. Now, your municipal services, they equate that to that of your state National Guard, who are also first responders. But these people, and they're part-time, but they serve in uniform, and they train. Everything they do is about combat. 13 Bravo, or 11, I think it's 11 Bravo, which is an infantryman. Everybody who goes through 8 weeks of basic training trains in combat. Instead of maybe trained to be fire and rescue or flood recovery or roadside recovery, accidents, assisting with accidents, anything like that, natural disasters and things. You have instead of your assembly militia providing that as assets within the county to provide. Okay, so that's interesting how and everybody's accounted for. Anybody outside of this are stressing their jurisdiction or their desire to assumed jurisdiction over the sheriff. You know, FBI, CIA, whatever, DEA, those kinds of things. And they do have a service too. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't that they'd come in and run roughshod over the sheriff. In this function, they can because of the dealings between your sheriff, chief of police, and which receives services funding through the state, and at the national level, they just find their way to run right over the sheriff. And the sheriff's office is complicit in a lot of ways, in a lot of counties. So, all right, there's that. Sorry, I didn't want to. 8:39. Again, we're working our way backwards. PKTF touches base and embraces fully the Assembly Militia first. So if anybody on Indiana is interested in serving by maintaining the peace, you want to either stand up your Assembly v Militia and then move in from there. I mean, so anybody who's interested right now can say, you know what, I think I can do that. I don't know, I'll stand in the gap and I stand up that pillar vertically and be that leadership that assists other future peacekeepers who might end up deciding to be the county sheriff or might decide to serve at the international level regarding the Continental Marshals. Now the Continental Marshals, here's their site, and there's going to be one more aspect of vetting at the Federation level, and that'll be Federation IT. So Christine, I think you was asking about some other clarity. What was touched on a couple days ago on the state coordinator's call. Anybody who is interested in joining you in the coordination level gets the opportunity to hear these details as they unfold. But one of the things that was touched upon is a third aspect of Federation IT.
Absolutely.
So anybody there will be a third entry there. That'll be a total of 6 that the Continental Marshals assumes responsibility. Since we don't know, we have no singular allegiance to any one particular state. So anybody who's interested in serving in any of these soon-to-be 6 aspects will get a fair vetting interview through the Continental Marshal Service. And then that's their site. That's their landing site. Eventually, these icons will change, and you'll have Continental Marshal's logo where the anchor is, the sheriff's affiliation site, nationwide affiliation site will be placed where that star is, and whatever affiliation nationwide for Assembly Militia leadership, which will be carried by the Peacekeeping Task Force, but there will be a nationally recognized logo that will go there instead of those tools, those gears. You did ask about interviews, Christine, so I'll go here. This is for anybody who's interested right now. Let's say tomorrow, Christine, or next week, let's say, somebody says, you know what, I think I'd like to talk to the Peacekeeping Task Force about Assembly Militia. Day 1 or day 0, even before the first day. They can go to the interview section and try to check their schedule. It could be within the same day or the same month, maybe the 16th, maybe the 30th of the same month. Just choose the 16th here, and the 11th month, and on the same month, maybe choose the 30th. If you and another guest would like to join that call or attempt to schedule around these 2 particular days, if you have any material that you'd like to provide, and then schedule a meeting, the information is here. Go ahead and book that meeting. That's actually going to our network, our IT team right now. And then after that, contact us to let us know so that we can match up those dates with who's attending. We had to kind of split those contact opportunities up. And this is not just for them. There's no content here yet, but there will be emphasizing this whole effort. But it's also for future meetings worldwide with content creators, investigators, subject matter experts, whistleblowers, anybody who would like to join the effort and speak with the Federation of States. We will can provide a vetting and a platform to meet.
Did pretty well of being able to include free conference call for a bit, so I just went ahead and cut it for now, just to.
Okay. Well, this is the newest edition. I wrapped it up in 5 minutes, Christine. Here.
Okay.
But this is the part where the state assembly, well, in with the 9 current states, but 28 states on the radar, but 9 states who've actually had a buy-in. And each one of these states you see in green actually has PKTF on their same website. This then
Awesome.
moves in. This then moves into the opportunity for assemblies to now get their county assemblies moving forward with news or emphasizing and perfecting the enumerated rights that our incorporated services have built into their social compact, as known as the Bill of Rights. But yeah, so I'll just use mine as an example. It could be Indiana's and anyone or all of your counties in the future. This is perfectly ideal and doable for all Indianans who don't really feel able or time capable of serving at the state and county level, or even at the county level. But if you're interested in providing news and information about your appreciation for your county, you now have a location through the PKTF to provide your own independent journalism, your own work.
Great.
Each one of the home pages for each county for all 3,143 counties will have an approach just like this, and then you can go in and start your own work from here. Like your county right now, Christine, will be highlighted. You know,
Mhm.
where's your? Point out your county here. If it's not built out with that little triangle folded up civil peace flag, and it's not quite yet online, but it will be. So here's Madison, right?
I'm on
Or no,
Gibson.
Gibson, sorry.
Nope,
So
you're
we'll
fine.
so it would go to Gibson.
Mhm.
If you had a journalist there who's poised and ready to promote Gibson and all of its local business and the positive aspects about its infrastructure and its history and whatnot, this will be highlighted, and they'll have the same front page like you've seen for Spencer County, Kentucky, and so on and so forth for all the others.
Awesome. It looks
And
great.
that's the reason why we're hoping to have all 50 of these states, kind of on board with what we're doing here, so we can get them going. Let's see, one last thing I'll try here. And of course, if you go to under home, you'll find where the articles are. Anybody's interested in articles. If you don't yet have one, or if you don't frequent here, you can always go to our exterior blogging site where we build exclusive um, preliminary articles. They're not fully built out articles. Currently have 9 states that we're tracking. You just saw that state assemblies and 17 cumulative consistent months that we've dedicated. Each one of these list boxes you'll see will have content. Right now is only one. Now this is probably the most interesting part so far. Well, the site is loaded, robust with a lot of things already. And it's not like, as you see in the disclaimer, it's not a lot of, it's still limited in its capacity. But if you want to be like Christine here and become familiar with the goings and the evolution of our American experiment, by all means go to this part of the About section and have fun focusing on these particular rights. Now these first 10 amendments, we're going to add the additional 5 that kind of covers in, so there'll be more added to this regarding the 11th. 11th by itself, 11th and 12th by themselves, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Because then you really start to show where the American people were exploited through that transition. Now, this is what I really like this. Now, you can go in, if you start to want to cut your teeth on like what Christine's offering by reading regarding the Constitution and whatnot, how about constitutional lawyers and listening to what their perspective is on these particular rights? You can do that from here. Okay, you can go in and you can join blogs, you can listen to podcasts, you can read articles about all of these. It's just fascinating stuff. I'm focusing on Article 3, which is quartering right now myself. That's going to be interesting. Quartering of soldiers. But all of 3 of these um, enumerated rights are what our contractors, our incorporated contractors, have as focused rights. That when as they serve the people, these are rights that they the founders realized as durable and reasonable rights. But the American people have these and so much more. The thing is, people realize what these rights are. Our, our, even our sovereigns should appreciate all of these, at least these 10 amendments, because they're very fitting and doable and fair as rights under contract, as rights serving the people as they function. Okay, and while they're serving, these rights should be upheld. And if you look at them and examine and you find out, especially with Constitution, and there's an entire gambit of constitutional lawyers who this is what they do. They eat and breathe not only these but the Constitution in itself. And I think there's 27 articles to the current Constitution. But anyways, you just look around and have a good old time about what we have here. Here's the article. One last thing I'll show you is the developments, but you click articles. We got a few more minutes. You'll be able to enter into our section. Now we want to be able to keep integrity of a magazine site, a monthly magazine site. So we need to be able to free up time to be able to provide more articles. So here's our grid pattern articles so far. There is as of yet. Don't have enough time. But developments similar to what you saw on some other pages regarding kind of PowerPoint presentations that I screenshot. We're actually working on tutorials that will be able to, for Assembly Militia leadership can access. There will be an algorithm that reads the presentations, that you'll be able to see those presentations about a slew of services. I mean, it's so vast that there's not enough time in 3 hours to discuss all of what we're working on. But if you would like to have a heads up of when these are starting to accumulate, there will be a separate page, and there'll be links of various replays that you'll go in. And we are going to use free conference call as well. And there'll be a separate page with links of tutorials, and you'll just be able to go in. If you like what we have so far, give us a rating, and then sign up for that notice, and just push send, and we'll put you on the list and let you know. You'll be among the first to know when that work section is online. I don't know how many times I've given this presentation, Christine, probably like 20.
You know it. You're doing great, though.
Yeah, well, you are too, and we all are. Just gotta, if you build it, they'll come. We've heard it many times. I agree with that. And in the world of marketing, you kind of have to maintain that and reiterate, 24 times? What is it, 27, 29 times before those who are on the fringes come closer and say, yeah, I think I want to join that. I think I can do that. So that's what we got to continue to do, and that's what you're doing. So.
Yeah, showing what it looks like, actually putting it down in a writing as well, so that you can be able to go back to it for different learning styles as well. But it takes time even figuring it out ourselves as we go along.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping soon to hear not only from Indiana but also from Kentucky that somebody steps up and says, I like that Assembly Militia. I think that's pretty clever. Oh, it's not all about, it's not first or largely about target practice and getting your ammo and all of this. And no, it's not that. It is not that. It's that is a factor, yes, and that's a part of the Second Amendment, which is the reason why we added that in. But a very small part. Yeah, very small part, but it's there.
Mm-hmm. It comes along with not only is it with the well-regulated militia, but it's also for the castle doctrine, so that you are going to need to know some of those skills to be able to secure your own home and family.
Well, when you go into the Second Amendment, and Christina, I know you're multitasking, you're able to do that. go into and see what those constitutional lawyers, when they go into their summits, and they discuss among themselves. And it's interesting to hear because you're getting to hear the perspective of these same lawyers who, that's all that their education is about, the Constitution. You really get to hear a lot of what they say, and it's super interesting. And you'll notice that even they have a hard time describing what a militia is in all of their studies, and they're all, thoroughly knowledgeable about the Constitution itself and the various ones that exist. So it's just riveting to hear how they discuss. They have people who they moderate and they bring questions forward from around the world, and they challenge these lawyers on their knowledge, and they provide their knowledge as best they can. And this limit is really, really interesting. I'm going to go back.
I'm looking forward to that because I have, from past experience, at least listened to other recordings of court sessions. So it'll be nice to hear where it's actually maintaining, sticking with the Constitution instead of their little schemes.
Yeah, and the most interesting to me about it are those rights, because just like enumerated powers or delegated powers, enumerated powers is probably the best way to say it. Limited responsibilities. They also have limited rights while they're serving the people. While they're not serving the people, then their rights is much, much broader. And of course, their rights end where another's begin. And it's the 4 tenets of natural law, which is to maintain the peace, cause and allow no injury, cause and allow no loss, and cause and allow no swindle. Besides that, everybody has those 10 rights and way more, But the servants, the sovereign people serving other sovereigns, while they're in office, those 10 rights absolutely facilitate their freedom, while they can feel comfortable serving the people, knowing that those rights are upheld and protected by the people, while, under that particular contract. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think these are all the rights of the people. No, those are the rights of your servants.
It's all of that, like Paul said, and others aren't going to hear the coordinator call, but of the, it's all a mirror of what we are supposed to be doing ourselves, of filling in all those roles. But we've got to get past the.
And the same with those rights. I mean, the American state citizens should embrace those rights, knowing that those rights will be absolutely honored, respected, withheld, translated properly, and all American state citizens will be given those rights while they're serving the people, in office.
Yeah.
And will be honored as such. And then when they're no longer, when they're 10 years up or when they retire, they still have those rights and so many more. Of course, just like it should be. So.
Right. Instead of being seen as the gen pop out in the field, actually be seen as the public.
Yeah, I'm going to add. I'll end it here, Christine, but I'll add actually some examples of about maybe 20 other rights, natural rights, so that people can have a perspective on what's not enumerated rights, which are considered privileges and immunities under the Constitution. But I'll give outside of those 10 amendments, I'll provide other natural rights so people can see, well, how come those rights weren't added to the 10 amendments? Well, because those are corporate rights. These others are rights that people have naturally and do without any responsibility of serving the people. They're just examples of other rights. There can be way more. As long as they don't abridge those 4 tenets of natural law, can do anything.
Right.
But still taking responsibility in case things go awry, of course. And that's that self-governing, taking responsibility for in case things do happen, because accidents happen. And
right.
All right, great call.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that should wrap things up for this evening. And we are then adjourning until next week, the 4th. December 4th at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I want to thank you, Joe, for being with us on the call. and I'm so much enjoying what I'm learning from you, as well as it's helping me to visualize how this is playing out, how this will actually look. So thank you for that. And don't forget to support the PKTF news site to be able to help support them with with their website. And if you've got information that you would like to start presenting, or even presenting on behalf of Indiana, let's start getting to where we can support from that aspect as well. I want to wish you all a great evening. Go ahead.
Let's get that justice. Let's get somebody stepping up just to learn the role. Let's get a sheriff to help that, but just as a learning, and let's get an assembly militia leader to join us on these exclusive meetings.
Absolutely.
And, we'll really be in great shape, both for Indiana and Kentucky.
Yeah.
6 people.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a peaceful and great week, and I will see you all in the next call. Peace and love.
Recording stopped.